Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Introduction to Confluence webinar. For about the next hour, we're going to be taking a dive into many of the features that Confluence offers, starting with just the basics first, so that you can see how the basic editing tools in a Confluence space function for you. And then we're going to start to dive into how it really integrates with other Atlassian products well, so you can really begin to leverage this tool as a dynamic and resourceful place for your teams to use. My name is Tony Hartsfield, and I am a business consultant with Expium. Expium is a platinum solutions partner for Atlassian. Atlassian creates products. Solution partners like us, we help clients purchase the products, install the products, configure, govern, use, etc. So that's how we function with in relationship to Atlassian. Our time together, we're going to first talk about what Confluence is, and then spend some time looking at the editing capabilities, even with the help of a couple of my colleagues here that are joining me as well. Then we'll take a look at some different ways that this tool can be used to leverage for reporting purposes, whether it's in combination with other Atlassian products, or just imagining how your team or your group might use the tool itself. And then we'll talk a little bit about governance, because this is a tool that is highly extensible like other Atlassian tools. But that means then that the people element of how you're going to use it is still up to you. And so we'll talk a little bit about what you might consider as far as governance goes. And then we'll finish off with some time at the end, if you like, if you have questions that you want to enter into the Q&A section of this meeting, I'll address those questions at the end. First off, let's talk about what Confluence is, and then we'll go into a little bit of a dive into that, okay? So Confluence is, in essence, a wiki-style editor tool that can be used as a documentation tool for your organization. It is very good at sharing that information across your enterprise, and it's a very good place for reporting as well. Your data about your projects is going to live in Jira, but your reporting for many folks in your organization, they could go to Confluence and see about the project. You have the ability to not only present the data, but also to give them context, give them things to look toward and to. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. But first, let me talk about the overall structure of Confluence. Confluence is moving into something called spaces. And spaces then contain pages. If you're familiar with Jira, Jira works in projects, and projects contain issues. And so that same kind of container and single level of content that's in there. Now, Confluence can contain a couple of other things depending upon your licensing, things like calendars and analytics. All versions of Confluence have the ability to create what are called blog posts instead, which then would actually have an RSS feed link to it that you could post in other places that your organization has access to, say your intranet, etc. So that's where we're relying those. You can create your spaces really about any number of things. Now, obviously, the one that comes out first for most of us as we are working with our clients at Expium is that they're using it in conjunction with their Jira platform, Jira software, or even Jira Service Management. And so obviously you can work around those projects, those IT projects, your help desk, your service desk, etc. Confluence becomes your knowledge base for your service portal. But then for other projects, you can, even in the cloud version at least, as you're creating a new project in Jira, you can automatically create a corresponding space in Confluence. And so that's the part that seems pretty obvious, but there are other ways that you could use this as well. And I'm going to show you a couple examples as we move along today. But that includes things like maybe your department itself, or a team that may not be IT related or highly technical, but still wants to manage work, get things done. That is a way that they can do this, is by simply having a space related to those things. It's a place for holding communications, for holding, say, policies, directives, how you're going to govern your organization. All of these things could be placed into your Confluence space itself. And because of the tool's extensibility, you can make it engaging by using text and links to external resources. This could be your repository of your documents, but it certainly doesn't have to be. This could just be the central location where people go to find the information, but you could link in documents for your Google Drive or your SharePoint folder location or Box or whatever you're using for your document management system. It could be just linked in here into your Confluence space so that your people don't have to keep going to all these different places to find the information. They can come to a single location for finding all those things, the policies, the procedures, and the documents. They just find them from their links. So there's lots of things that we can take a look at, and there's lots of ways to customize this content. So what I want to do is talk then about some basic editing first, and then we'll move into some other functionality. So first off, what can we do with this? I am in a page, in a space, and there's lots of basic editing tools. In just a moment, I'm going to open this up in edit mode so that you can see the toolbar. But just to kind of show you that it can use, every page then has a title, and then in Cloud, at least, you'll notice in my headings, they all have links, which is a great way to direct somebody not to just the page, but to a specific location of the page, because you could copy that link, send that into a message of some sort to your other people in your community, and they can jump right to the exact place. But it's able to do numbering and headings. Let me actually go into editing mode just to show you some of the pieces here. So this is using basic text heading. You can format using a lot of options. Obviously, the common ones: bold, italics. You have underline, strike through, and a few other options there. You have the ability to change the color if you want. You have the ability to change the alignment. So many really basic tools as far as editing tools go in a wiki-style editor. So you think you'll find it's pretty manageable for what you're trying to do for most of those things. It handles bulleted lists. It handles and numbered lists that are multi-level, easy to work through. There is a tool called the action item, and you can mention items here, create action items, and even with that, you can assign an action item to somebody. And so if I assign this to my colleague who is joining us today, and then I can even have a date that this needs to be done by. And then once I publish this page, actually Bailey will be notified that there was a task where she was mentioned, and so she would have the opportunity to respond to this as needed. So there is also so there's some good basic text editing options. There's also something called layouts, and so a couple of ways that you can organize your information using layouts itself. This is the layout tool, and so you see, as I'm trying to show you, layouts can be in multiple different column settings that you can use. The default is just a single column, and so, but if you need to organize your information, so here could be an idea of a sidebar of information, and or an image, and on the right-hand side could be text that fits that particular setup. In Cloud as well, there's a couple of ways that you can also manage the width of your page in editing mode. There are two specific additional widths. So this is the standard width here. This is wide. This is full screen width, or back to the normal size. This is a cloud-only feature, but it is available in Confluence Cloud in all three levels of licensing. It can also handle tables, because lots of times tables, it makes more sense to use tables for managing your information. You can also copy and paste tables from another source, and they will come in as tables. And so if you've got a table in, say, a Google Doc, or if you're in a spreadsheet of some sort, you can copy and paste and place that in there as well. So a couple of ways to not only manage the text, but also the layout and look and feel of the text as well. Let me publish this. And I want to flip over to another page and talk about the ability to do not just editing, but simultaneous editing. Because the actual page is in a shared location, anyone who has access to the page into edit mode can go in and edit, and we can actually edit at the same time. In just a second, Bailey and I are going to go into this document and begin to make changes to this particular page at the same time. Bailey, are you ready to go? 1, 2, 3, edit. And now that we're in this, I can actually see that she's already in this page and making changes. And so I can go in here and start to make changes myself. She would see what I'm doing, and I can then say I can make edits to the text by making formatting changes. I can make deletions. And so as we're both working on these together, okay, then when we're finally done, we can both publish at the same time. Ready, Bailey? 1, 2, 3, publish. And what we end up having then is not only the page working together, we're seeing each other's edits, but then this also writes to the history of the document. If I click on the ellipsis top right action button here and go to page history, I can also manage the different versions of the document. Each time it's published is a new version. So I have the ability to compare the changes, so I can see the progression of a document. I have the ability to revert back to a version if I need to. I can delete previous versions, and so it really is a nice way to work together. Imagine you're in a working session together trying to draft this document. Well, both of you could be in at the same time and make those changes as you're working together, and then publish together to make the document more meaningful, useful, and then also the ability to go back and undo what you were doing. Other ways that we can work together in a document or on a page is commenting, and there's two areas for commenting in a page of a Confluence space. One is at the bottom, which you can actually go into the comment page, and you have really the basic toolbar that you had when you're editing the page itself. And so there's lots of things that you can already insert in here, and you're applying a comment to the overall document. If I go in here and say, and again, if you have the ability to mention somebody and they'll be notified. And then when you have that available, there's the ability to add emoji, to reply, as the creator, I have the ability to both edit and delete, and then you have some options there. So you can see the commenting there. You can also do what's called inline commenting. So if you want direction to be focused at specific content, and so here I can select the text and then actually apply the comment, and you really have a lot of the same functionality here as well, where you can mention somebody. Let's verify this, and then the comment will resolve in the document. Anybody viewing the page can see the comments, and there they can reply. They have the ability to respond if they want to. This can be done in published mode, but in cloud, you can also do this in edit mode. So it's a nice feature that Cloud has recently added, the ability to add comments while you're editing the document, which is really nice so that you can actually still see the comments in edit mode as well and begin to make comments there. Once you've finished making viewing the comments in inline, you have the ability to resolve the comment. It is stored in a location where you can go back and view those former comments, but you can actually resolve them from there. So great tools for for collaboration on your documents. Also, just to let you know, you could, as the Confluence administrator or the space administrator, either allow or not allow the ability to comment and who can comment. So that if you need your space to be more read-only, that is something that you can also do. Okay. It's what I've been showing you are not necessarily difficult things, but they are important parts of making your content dynamic and useful and helpful with your organization. Some other things that we can do is linking and attachments. If I look at linking, there's a couple of options. Again, I'm going to peel back the curtain on this a little bit. There's several different types of linking you can do. Let me go into the edit of this page. And because as you link using the link tool, when you post something, this is another page, but you have the ability to display it as the URL, as inline, as a card, or you can also embed the content, which is really useful for things like YouTube videos. Whenever you paste a link from a media site and it recognizes that it is media, it will actually embed the option, and so that you can play the video actually on your page itself. And so this is the inline, this is the card. Whether it is internal or external, this is actually going to a folder that is on this is our one of our shared drives, and I can actually take people to this, and as long as they have rights to the page, they'll be able to go in and find the document. So again, that idea of you don't have to have your attached to the space or the page itself in Confluence, you could link to it elsewhere. And there are other tools for those of you that are in Microsoft Shops. There are plugins that will allow you to do this with your Microsoft tools, whether it's OneDrive or SharePoint, etc. So that's the links that we're seeing. And then you can also use images. And once you have an image, you have the ability to add a URL to it if you want to, so that it's not only just an image, you can also have it navigate away to a website or another location on your space. And so linking is a great tool to bring in the content from other locations. It's still the people are going to come to your one location to view it and then access as they need to. Attachments, if you're going to attach, you certainly may. And that could be done with certainly there are images, maybe your org chart, your decision tree, a snippet of code that your team is working on that they haven't quite committed yet, or a branch that they're working on, and they want the rest of the team to see what's going on. Or maybe it is that form that they do need, and you want to go ahead and add it to your page, and then part of your Confluence instance as well. And so you can certainly do that by attaching it to the page itself. Or there's a couple of macros that you don't have to have them showing up on the page as you're creating them, but you could create a macro that would allow you to see all of the attachments that you have on this particular page so that they can view it. You have the option also of letting them be able to upload other documents to this or not. That is an option you can turn off. So if you want to limit the activity as your consumers, your people that are reading the page, their interactive levels is download only, perhaps. There's another macro called gallery macro, which allows you to work with any images. And so you could have several images again of screenshots of a decision tree, of a workflow, of your board options, whatever it happens to be. And then you could have them as a gallery that they can, again, view individually as they're working through those things, okay? So a couple of ways to surface your attachments using macros from there. So linking and attachments are really useful tools for drawing your attention either from other locations, or again, like this is an internal one. Even things like mail to links, you can do that as well, so that if you want people to begin to interact with your pages, that's a way you can do that. As I mentioned, these are macros, and macros are common tools. Don't be afraid of the word macro. When you look at Confluence, all it means is it's just a tool that does work for you. And there are several that are available. I'll go into a couple of them just so you can see what some of them can do. So one is the page, things like page tree, which will basically examine all of the pages that are on your space, and they can navigate from there. This is a great one to use maybe on your overview page, that people can see the entire contents of your page. You want to highlight certain ones to go to. There's also one called a children display. This is the children of one of these other templates, and you can actually see them. So that may be another way to view it as well. If you're using a parent and child type of display, or if you're using just a regular tree, that's fine as well. The panel tool, there's a great set of tools here that allow you to draw the eye to the content itself. And so whether it's an info note, this is actually easy to switch in Cloud, because you can select this particular macro and you can change it to any of the others at any time. Change it to note, change it to info, change it to warning. And even create your own. You can add an emoji to it instead, or have no icon, choose the color, and you have the ability to now manage this. There's also something called a status button, that you create the text and you type it in, you choose a color, and it's a great way to be used on, say, when I show you my engagement page, this could let people know the status of your project and whether or not you are on time, under budget, whatever you're working on. So lots of things that you can do with that, using those. So great tools, again, great tools to draw the eye to those things. There's a table of contents tools. When you're using headings, it's a great way to manage, especially for lengthy pages. You could put the table of contents at the top, and then people can help navigate to those sections. You can even choose which headings to include. So in this case, I'm only using headings 1 and 2, but I have a heading 5 here. And so I'm not using that one showing up in the table of contents, but a great way to navigate through your document. One of our favorite macros here at XPM is called the expand one. And expand can be used in some really cool ways. Predominantly, a way is to manage how much vertical real estate you want to take up at the beginning. And this way, using something like this, we do this on our engagement pages. We'll put the statement of work in there, or you could actually have, here is the name of the task, and then all the steps for doing it you could put into an expand macro. Once people know how to do the steps, all they need to know is this is the task that I need to do. And I might put all of my tasks as expand macros on my page, and then the ones they know, they can skip right over. The ones they need to review again, they can click to open and view the steps. Great tool for managing, again, the eye, drawing the eye, the scrolling fatigue. You can help to avoid some of that, some stuff there. There's another couple of tools to help you manage text that is going to be, one of the governing rules is that you don't want to have information being stored in more than one location, because then you have to maintain both locations. And if if one changes and the other one isn't reminded to do so, you now have conflicting information, which is one of the cardinal rules of governance that we try to recommend. So a way to do that is to have content that is managed from one page but be surfaced on another, is using what's called the excerpt tool. And so this is the excerpt that I want to show up on another page, and then using what's called the excerpt include, it shows up on the next page. This is actually, it shows up on the page, but it's not editable on this page because this is not where it was created. So a great way for, say for instance, your project team might have their mission statement, or the scope of work, statement of work might be on one page, but if you need to surface that somewhere else, you could use the excerpt and excerpt include macros that are great for doing those things. What if you need to include an entire page? Well, I can also do that. I can say this is that page that Bailey and I were working on up here in simultaneous editing, but I made it surface somewhere else. Again, this is great for those times when you have a policy or a statement that needs to be made that needs to be so this is a statement that your project office creates that all project teams need to know about. Well, the project office could create it in their space and then use the page include so that it shows up in other teams' spaces. That's a great way to manage that. There's other ones in here. The task report, which is all the tasks that are on this space. They show up here, and then once they're checked off, they fall off this macro. There's a roadmap one, which if you're using a roadmap, there's also one for advanced roadmaps, and I'll show you that on our engagement page in just a second. There's a couple others here. There's one called the PDF macro, which if I were to go back to my original site where we welcomed you, this is actually a PDF that is attached to this page, but I can use it I can scroll through the different pages almost as if it was a slide deck. Or I can scroll. So here, if I go back to, here's one here that I failed to do our shameless self-promotion about who we are as XPM. So let me pause and do that real quick. What do we do? XPM, again, is a Platinum Solutions partner with Atlassian. And we're among 50 or so Platinum Solutions partners. So there may be 500 around partners around the world, but Platinum is an elite group. It requires that our consultants and all of our consultants work toward and maintain certification with Atlassian, which means we take certification exams to be there. So you're not dealing with salespeople, you're dealing with consultants. And so we work with providing training. We do public training like this webinar every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central is a different topic. We can also do on-site training with your clients. We also have some premium classes, boot camps, as little as 1 day up to 4 days of training, depending upon what the class is. I'm going to take you to that site in just a moment. We also do a lot of consulting. People that decide they want to use Atlassian products, then how they're going to use it, install, maybe they need to migrate from what they're currently using, or we do also a lot of stuff where people that are in the server side right now and are planning to migrate to the cloud, to the cloud side by March of 2024. We're doing a lot of assisting with that. People are installing Jira Service Management. Some people are looking at Jira Align because their organization wants to use scaled agile. We can help you with that as well. And then we also can do custom development. If there's something that you need an Atlassian product to do to speak to an existing software that you have, for instance, we have a sister company that is a full stack developer, and they create several solutions for us and to help us work with our clients as well. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that one as there. There are ways to embed. If you are a Microsoft shop, you can embed just like the PDF one, you can embed a Word document, you can embed an Excel document. This is embedding, however, it is not linking to, so there is not editing availability to this. There are tools that allow you to do that, but they are plugins that come that you would have to go to the marketplace and find. But there's some, and Atlassian continues to work with Microsoft to help integrate with the Microsoft ecosphere if that is where your world happens to be. So, so those are some of the macros that really help can really draw your eye to it. I'll show you a couple of other examples in just a little bit. But speaking of other macros, there's a macro that involves using that now can connect to Jira, which is really great because if this is going to be connected to, say, for instance, a Jira project, and you're reporting about that, well, what if you could talk back to Jira from your Confluence space as well? So imagine you're in a meeting space and you have made meeting notes out of this, you publish the notes, and now you want to be able to, from your notes, create Jira issues in a Jira project. Well, I'm going to select text. I'm in published mode, by the way. I'm not in edit mode. I have the ability to comment. like we did earlier, but I also have the ability to create an issue from selected text. It now wants to know what project, and I've got several projects here. This is actually from we have our Jira Bootcamp, and we had this last week, so I'm just using the same instance right now to do so. So I'm going to go into, this is the project, and then I have the summary field already created from the highlighted text. I can add description if I need to, and then create the ticket. What type of issue type is this going to be? Is this a story? Maybe the idea is that this is the project team was thinking, this is what I'd like to see. I don't know how to technically cause that, and so I want to create a story, a user story idea, and create that. And it actually will create the issue in that instance, with even letting me know where it is on the workflow. If you're familiar with Jira at all, I have just created that issue. I can go in and take a look at it. And here it is, with a link back to my Confluence page. I can also do that with multiples. Imagine in your meeting, again, you've been going through and you've been dealing with a lot of tasks that you might need to do. And that is, so in your meeting, you may even have a table of just this with what's going to be the name of the issue that you're creating, and then what is the description here. So this is very simple. But you can, in this table, then select, again, I'm just going to select just the rows that have content, not my heading rows. I have the ability to create issue again. And it even recognizes that this is in a table, so I can actually switch over to create multiple issues from the table. These are going to be tasks, maybe. It could go to the same project or it could go to a different one, but I will go ahead and leave it that one and click create. So really powerful tool that it wasn't just meeting notes. Now it actually can talk to Jira and create new tasks for your project team to continue working on. So great tool, again, letting you know where it is on the workflow. As that workflow progresses, it synchronizes with your page again, and so this would let me know when it was in a to-do status or a done status, etc. So great tools, super ways to help you do that. Let me flip over and show you other ways that this can, other ways you can surface this information, and now move into real reporting ideas. If I go into an engagement space here. This is our demo site, which, by the way, if you're interested in seeing a live demo with your stakeholders potentially, we'll have the information for you to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to do that. And it's from this instance that we show these things. And so, but things like an engagement dashboard. This is a real typical setup that we use for when we have a client engagement, and it's going to have several pieces to this. These are all different macros. This is the premium licensing for Confluence, and so it includes a calendar option. Whether you create the calendar in your Confluence instance or you subscribe to it through other. So if you have an external one, so like for us at XBM, we do have a company Google Calendar that we can embed here, and then you can add all kinds of things into this. This can also be connected to, say, for instance, your Jira project. For instance, if it's a Scrum project, you could actually add sprints to your issue dates or sprints, and it'll show up on this calendar, so that not only so that your project team can actually see that information. This is the attachment macro, so whenever we want to have static reports of currently how we're doing and people want to see it, how it was at that point versus this live page that's constantly updating, then this could be where you attach these to the page and then surface them using the attachment macro. And then this is a series of what are called Jira issue results, filter results, which, if you're familiar with Jira, you're doing that all the time. You're doing filtered results and then surfacing that on a dashboard or board in Jira. Well, you can do that here as well in Confluence, and more than that, you can also give context. And so this is a lot of times that we do this. So this is just a table that we created, but it's describing what this is. And so this is actually a Jira search with the user status, with the status category of done. What did we get done this week? What are we still working on? This is a status category of in progress. What have we not started working on? So these are all issues that are this is an actual project, and these are issues that are still in the to-do status category. So we can see that. Here is an advanced roadmap that was created from the Jira instance, and it could span even more than one project. By the way, we actually have a class on advanced roadmaps, or we also have webinars that talk about portfolio management using advanced roadmaps. If that's of interest to you, I'm going to show you our events page in just in a little bit too, so that you know, just the same way that you may have found this particular webinar, there are other ones that are out there that are really good and useful. So again, this is an advanced roadmap. It is not actionable, but is interactive, so they can expand if they want to go to a particular issue key. They actually can, and then but it's a great way for reporting where you are in your project itself. Here is that panel, info panel. Here is another table, and then again another filter results, but using the exact same. So here is the again just text. You get to help people understand what they're looking at, help them interpret the data, help them what to look for itself. And so here is a Jira filter search in a issues list. Here's the exact same search in a pie chart. And so again, both the data and a visual, so you can really help people understand what's going on in your project using Confluence, which is why we kind of recommend using Confluence for reporting instead of just driving everyone to Jira itself. Now, the project teams obviously are going to be okay. They're going to be able to probably go to the project, go to their boards, go to their backlog, go to their dashboards if they want to, and probably see what's going on and understand what's happening. But for those that maybe are not engaged daily in the project but want to understand, this is where the tool becomes really, really helpful in Confluence, because you have not only the ability to draw the data, but you have the flexibility and the extensibility to describe it, add context, tell them, give them more information about what this is doing. And so you really do have some really nice options here. And then anything you need to break down, here's that expand macro again, simple statement of work or whatever happens to be in there. So when you're in a Confluence space, it's not just consuming the data. It's helping to interpret it. You can work with it, and because it's so easy to update, you can really make an engaging page with just a little bit of work as far as understanding some of the tools, but using the macros and the layouts and tables, and really make it a dynamic and useful, consumable page for your people. And then you also just simply have the ability to control the message itself. Whether that's positive or your scope creep, you can explain what's going on in your Confluence page. You can only display the data in your on your Jira page, which is the Jira site is the source of truth where the work takes place. How you report on it may be on your Confluence page. Another way to look at that then would be if your team is going to stay in Jira, that's where the work is going to be, and they're going to do their reporting there. But the reporting, especially for external, this could even be depending upon how you define external. External might mean people that are not in the project. It could also be public. You could actually set up your spaces to be available to anonymous users to be able to see this information, which is exactly how it works when you're talking about, say, a knowledge base for if you're using Jira Service Management. If Confluence is housing the knowledge base, it is doing just that. It is really making it public for your customers to see, and your customers do not have to have a Confluence license to see the knowledge base. So anyway, that's seen through there. So this engagement page is really useful. We talk about a lot about these things. Again, the calendar, if you want to use that, attachments, and the different ways of surfacing Jira search reports. Okay, but this is a couple of others that I can. Let me show you a couple of other places that may be important to you as well. And let me switch to another space, because this is really focusing on you know, an IT project, but what if you have some other things that you want to look at? What if I've got, say, for instance, a marketing group? So other ways to just consider how you might use this. Well, what if you have a team homepage? So your overview, this would be a great place to tell the people who you are, your mission statement, what you're up to. There's a recent updates macro. You can add the information how to find them, and then this is using a simple links, a mail to link, an external link, how to find us from there. And so you can actually see that information just as a good help class. You know, you want to brand this, put an image in this if you want to. So that really it helps people understand why you have this space to begin with. And then as we again talk about this is a project dashboard, really similar to what you saw before, but yet this group is using a roll-up of 5 different projects, different teams, and here's a roll-up, and then they're kind of letting you know on this how they are. They put a link in here to create a new project if they need to, basically a new epic, an existing project, which is kind of nice. And then you have, so this is the roll-up of all of them, but each team can also have their own description, what's going on. So you could house it this way. So this is one of the ways that we encourage people to do it. It doesn't have to be one space per project team. It could be a roll-up of teams that work together or collaborate as they need to. That's another way to do it. Let us talk about some other things. There are plenty of really great templates in here as well. So there's not just the standard blank pages. If I open up the templates page real quick, I'll just show you. There are in cloud, now in data center, there's about 12, 13, 14 maybe. In cloud, there are, notice here, out of the box, there's 118 templates that you can use. And they have lots of really interesting setups and options that will probably fit many of your needs, whether it's SWOT analysis, the 5 whys, whatever it happens to be, decision trees, documentation, marketing plans. There's lots of stuff in here to take a look at. Feel free to explore these when you're in your Confluence instance. And as a Confluence administrator, you can even limit which ones are used, or you can edit the look and feel. You can brand them even before they get used with your company information if you wanted to as well. So great tools there. Let me go back to my space. Oh, I was in marketing. So once you're in the meeting notes, it actually creates a really neat an index page as well. So it collect whether there are any tasks that need to be performed, if you're using the decision macro, and then this is essentially an attachment macro to find all the other pages that you've created with your meeting notes. So great tool for doing that. And then just some other integrations I want to show you. You can integrate with other external tools, like this is a Miro board that, and it's a live connection. So as this gets edited, this would show up here. Here is another one. This is actually connected to a Trello board. If you're using Trello, Trello is another Atlassian product. It's a really simple task board, Kanban style, that you can manage your overall tasks this way. This is great for, again, those non-technical projects or project groups that want to just simply manage tasks and move them along the board, and it does. This actually is an interactive portion. You can rank, you can move along, and this is actually connected to the Trello instance. Trello is a great tool. Some of our colleagues manage their personal lives using the Trello boards. And then the last one I'll show you is linking to documents. These happen to be Google documents, so a Google Sheet, a Google Doc. Out of the box, you can embed these documents, and they don't have to live on the page, but if you embed them as links, they are editable. For people, so even in that situation. So some great tools to talk about that. Hopefully you've seen a lot of functionality here, giving you a taste of this. I know it went fast. We actually do a whole day boot camp on Confluence itself. So a lot of stuff that you've seen me demonstrate in a very short amount of time, we actually will go through and we will actually walk through that itself. I want to take you to our page. It's here, and on the events page, this may be how you found this webinar to begin with, but we have our events coming up. We actually have a trivia event that we're coming up with here. Here's the next major workshop coming up. It's a cloud migration. So for those of you that are in a Jira Server instance and need to move to a cloud instance, this is a workshop to go over all those things, to think about and actually walk through that. We do a 3-day Jira boot camp, a 1-day Confluence boot camp, portfolio management. This is advanced roadmaps. We actually have our latest class is a Jira Service Management Bootcamp. And so if your instance, if you're considering using this, if you're looking at all things ITSM, or if you've got it installed and you don't know what to do next, this is a 2-day really deep dive into Jira Service Management. As you just simply look along. And then these are all these classes. Anytime you see buy tickets, obviously that's a premium, but anytime you just see sign up, those are our webinars, free content, just like this one. Every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time, we try to offer a different topic each week, and we place them there. We also then will store a lot of those onto our YouTube page. And on our YouTube page, there are lots of great examples here. And I want to point out this one, the one on governance, because I want to talk a little bit about governance. So remember who we are as a company. We train, we help license and install, implement, and configure Atlassian products in your organization. If we could be of service to you, we'd love to have that conversation with you. We have it all the time with people who just want to talk first, just to see if that's something that they want to do. And if so, if it leads to an engagement, we're happy to do so. We'll be posting in the how to reach out to us. Essentially, it's team@xpm.com. You'll also hear from us with links to know how to reach that. Okay. Let me talk briefly about governance, because we've seen a lot of the functionality, but I want to talk a little bit about how governance is an important aspect as we look at this. Some things to think about, and again, this is a full hour webinar on governance that we do, but it is a very important part of this particular tool, really of any Atlassian tool. Really, you could even think of any use of data in your organization. Having a sense of knowing how you're going to use it, having that governance. And we have a couple of suggestions as to how to do that. Our governance presentation includes the people that need to be involved in this, and the kinds of things you want to do, how to standardize information, who is going to have permission to do what at the individual spaces, what you want to encourage the use of, the layout of your spaces, the types of pages or not. I mean, just remember that's something that's important to think about. And we offer highlights and suggestions, but the reality is there isn't a single answer for this. And so all we can do is frame the conversation for you, and then your organization really will want to have that conversation. Now, if you would like for us to help you with that conversation, we do that a lot too. We're happy to just simply have that governance talk with a client. That sometimes that's the sole part of an engagement. It might lead to other work, but it doesn't have to. And so if that's important, certainly you want to think about that as well. We want to help you utilize your Confluence spaces in the most meaningful way that you can leverage this tool to help your people understand what's going on in your organization, understand what they need to do, and report on what they're doing. It's a great place to do those things. So governance is important. In fact, let me go and look at when the next governance workshop is. Here. It's coming up on June the 9th is the next one. And again, that one is the next one on Thursday, June the 9th at 11 a.m. Central Time. I encourage you to watch that one or come and join us for that one. Lot of information. I hope you have found this beneficial. And in the last few minutes left, I want to see if there are any questions that I maybe overlooked, or let me kind of see what's available here. The question, somebody asked the question about during the simultaneous editing, if two people publish changes at the same time, is it possible to revert one individual's changes but not the others? There is a small window that if you both were literally to click the publish button within a second or two of each other, it would include it in the same version. But if they're separated by a few seconds, then you actually would have two different versions that are out there, and you would have the ability to compare and revert if you need to. Otherwise, you just need to revert to the previous version before you start editing, or go in and make changes to there. In that sense, simultaneous editing in any program has that same kind of issue. So whether or not you're working on an Office 365 document in your Teams channel, if you're both editing at the same time, it's live saving as it's going on. So what are some ways to create a library of repeated tools? The status macro, can you create a status macro that can be reused so you have standard color or text? Here's how we do it. We'll create it once on the page, and then we'll just copy and paste that. Instead of reusing the macro, we'll just copy it in the page, paste it throughout. So you know, whatever. So we'll have a check mark, we'll have a red X, or we'll have the status macro that says you know go or no go, something like that. And so we'll have those available on the page, and then we'll just throughout our table of our items, instead of using the macro every time, I'll just copy and paste on the page. To me, that's simpler. So reusing what's already there is a great help to limit the amount of editing time that you do. So. Other types of questions, I realize that that may not go. There's some people like to know about things like permissioning or other items, and the truth is you can. If I go back into my sample pages, the space administrator, the one who created the space or created the page, you can manage permissions as to who sees what or who can do what in the page itself, in the page or the entire space. There is on the page the ability to set restrictions. It is by default open to anyone who can get into this can edit, but you can manage that. You can make this read only for anybody that gets there. And then only a couple of people can edit, so you may have a couple of administrators or editors in your space, or you can actually define who's going to get to do that. So you can get pretty granular with just the page. You can also do that with the entire space itself. There's something called space settings, and it's the one who is the owner or has been given administrative rights to this space. I can go into space settings, and then I can manage the permissions across the board, and this is who gets to do what, including can they some people I know like to control comments. Well, you could limit who can even make comments on the page if you want to. Now it doesn't. Now if you permit any type of commenting, everyone who goes to the page can see the comment, but you could prevent someone from making comments if you don't want them to. And so that's done at the space level. This can also be done at a global level. So the Confluence administrator could go in and also say, I don't want anybody commenting, or I want to manage who gets to comment, or who gets to manage the space, who gets to manage attachments, edit comments, etc. That can be also managed from the global perspective as the Confluence administrator. We're really about out of time, and so I guess what I'd like to do again is say thank you for joining me. I do hope this has been helpful. I know that we're covering a lot of information in a short amount of time, and so if we could be of assistance to you, we would be happy to be having that just an initial conversation. And some of our best clients come with the people who've attended webinars just like this, and they find out that we just want to again talk, And then it may or may not lead to work. Again, we just want to be of service to you. And if we can't be of service to you, we might even recommend, who can, if necessary. So I saw that was posted on their team@xpm.com. And that's if you want to ask questions of me, that is also the place that you can go. That goes directly to our project office, and then they can forward your questions to me, and I can get back to you as you need to. Again, thank you for joining us. I hope this has been helpful. We look forward to future conversations if possible, or we look forward to seeing you at other webinars. Remember, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central is a new topic. So again, my name is Tony Hartsfield. This has been a Confluence webinar. We are from XPM. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.